Florida Senator Marco Rubio is a Republican member of the Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committees. He's with us from Miami. Senator, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Lots to talk about. Let's start first with North Korea. President Trump has agreed to meet with the world's most dangerous dictator without preconditions. What's your concern?
Well, I actually think there are preconditions, and that is we're not going to get rid of sanctions, and we're going to continue to move forward on the military exercises with South Korea. And if you're still willing to meet despite that, then there's going to be a meeting. So there are preconditions. And as far as what this means, I think the fundamental question is whether or not Kim Jong-un will ever accept not having nuclear weapons. That's at the core here. Because if he's not willing to give up nuclear weapons and the ability to strike the United States, then my sense is that this is basically an effort to undermine international sanctions by saying, look, I'm willing to meet, but in those meetings he makes requests that we can never accept, like, for example, the U.S. leaving South Korea and all of our troops leaving our alliance there. He knows those conditions will never be met, and then he can turn to the international community and say, look, I tried, I'm a reasonable person, but Donald Trump and the Americans are unreasonable, in order to undermine international sanctions and also to undermine sort of international support for a preemptive military action.
So, but is it clear to you that the North Koreans have agreed to freeze their capabilities before Trump sits face-to-face with them?
Well, I think that's kind of a misnomer, because I think in their mind, that's the other possibility, is that they've already decided that they have a capability. They are now confident that they have gone far enough in their nuclear program that they can enter negotiations from a position of strength. I've always believed that once they believe they could strike the United States or threaten to strike us, that they can then enter these negotiations on equal footing. There is another possibility, one that I think is less likely, but maybe part of this as well, and that is that there's tremendous pressure among elites in North Korea, including diplomats around the world, who are required to bring back ill-found gains and basically bribery, stealing money, etc., that there's a lot of pressure and rumblings among them about discontent with the direction of the country, and Kim Jong-un feels pressure to show some level of progress with regards to that audience. So it's obviously this is a very mysterious regime, and so we don't have the amount of insight into them as we would some other country.
So what you're describing, Senator, is a lot of traps and a lot of difficult things to be negotiated. So give us your assessment of the Trump administration so far, because for a lot of people this looks like a tremendous breakthrough for the Trump administration, the president, his strategy. So assess what got us here and whether you think the administration has the capability to run all those traps you just outlined.
Well, there's one of two things have gotten us here. Either number one, that Kim Jong-un is supremely confident that he now has leverage over the United States because we believe that he can strike us. Or B, he's under some level of pressure that threatens his regime, and he feels like he needs to show the elites in his country that he is in a strong position and that he is willing to do things and give people hope that things are going to get better. I have no disagreement with their approach. I don't think we would be at this point today had it not been for sticking with sanctions, and I think they are right to argue that nothing is going to change just because there's going to be a meeting. But so I think their pressure has certainly brought us to this point, one way or another, whether it's because of internal pressure in North Korea among elites, or whether it's because Kim Jong-un now feels that he has no choice but to engage, and that but he's comfortable in engaging because he has nuclear weapons that he thinks he can threaten the U.S. with.
Senator, let me turn to domestic issues, specifically one related to your state, and that is gun legislation. I know that you met with a survivor, a student from Stoneman Douglas yesterday, and we're reminded, of course, of your town hall a month ago with those students, where you made news by saying that you would be open to raising the age of someone who can buy a rifle from 18 to 21. You also said that you would consider limiting magazine size and capacity. Have you made up your mind on where you stand on those issues?
Well, to be clear, I said on semi-automatic rifles. I think bolt-action hunting rifles and shotguns and things of that nature is not what we're talking about. The state of Florida has actually done that, and I am willing to support something that does that. On the magazine capacity, it's a new issue for me in terms of considering it. There's a lot of complexity there about what the right size should be and so forth, so we're working through that. But here's been my approach. The community's demanding action. They want something done. Every time one of these things happen, nothing ever passes. And the reason is we put all our eggs in a basket that we know doesn't have the votes to pass. It takes 60 votes in the Senate, a majority in the House, and a president that will sign it. So what I have focused on as phase one of this effort is things that we can get passed that have broad bipartisan support. Stop School Violence Act by Orrin Hatch, Try and Lie by Pat Toomey and Chris Coons. the Fix NICS bill. Senator Nelson and I will be offering an incentive program for states to pass what Florida just passed, a gun violence restraining order. I believe these things we can get done. There's consensus around them. That's step one. These other more contentious issues would be part of step two, but we don't get to step two unless we show some momentum and some progress with step one. So that's what I've really been focused on as phase one of this effort.
And Senator, just to be clear, the bill that the Florida legislature just passed that would raise the age for all gun purchases from 18 to 21, yes or no, you support that?
Well, I would prefer that it not include shotguns and bolt-action rifles. But let me be clear about one thing for people that are concerned about this. It's not possession. So you can be 19 years old and use your father's rifle to go hunting. You just can't be the owner. You can't go in and buy it yourself. So that's an important distinction for those out there that are concerned about that.
And we're running out of time, but do you expect the governor to sign that bill that the Florida legislature passed?
I do.
Okay.
I believe he'll sign it today.
Senator Rubio, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.